Video of an autistic 10-year-old boy being arrested has sparked an outcry after surfacing online.
I want to be touched. I want to be touched. Please don't touch me.
The boy's mother, Luann Haygood, filmed the incident involving her son, John, who's visibly disturbed at being handcuffed and taken to a police car. Officers detained the boy for allegedly kicking a school employee, and he was kept overnight at a local juvenile facility, despite his mother's explanations that John has special needs. We spoke to Luann Haygood about what happened.
It was like I was watching a movie. Like it wasn't happening to me. So that's why I appeared, I seemed to be calm, but it was just a go-to emotion because it was so surreal to me at that time. When he was in the chair, as you see him, he was actually putting his hands back and pulling away rather than acting aggressively and going towards anybody. So he was in the defense mode. He wasn't acting out offensively. Kind of surprised that he had a taken hold from something 6 months ago, from his behavior then, when he's not exhibited any such behavior since then in any school setting because he's been out of the school.
Autism is a condition that usually starts at a young age, affecting how a person interacts with others. Typically, people with autism are very sensitive and dislike being touched by strangers. The state attorney's office claimed officers weren't aware of the boy's condition, saying they will take it into consideration in further dealing with the boy. We spoke to Stephanie Cooper, a former police officer and a mother of an autistic child herself. She believes that the school is to blame for the incident.
A lot of individuals with autism do not like to be touched. I noticed in the video that the 10-year-old did say, "Don't touch me." That is a sign of an individual with autism. In my version of this, to me, it was the school that failed the child. The school failed by not informing the officers appropriately and also getting the child the care that he needed. It's no different than a child being in a wheelchair. I don't know if the teacher did not have the proper training to recognize that the child could have been stimming when he kicked her, not actually being aggressive. Maybe the teacher didn't have the proper training before she filed an arrest warrant or filed a charge against the child.
Sweden's defense minister has warned Russia that Stockholm will defend its territory.
We have seen a deterioration in the security situation over time. We send a signal to other countries and a signal to our partners that we are ready to take on this responsibility. There will be no security policy vacuum in the Baltic region. Of course, it is also a signal to Russia.
Security fears have led Sweden to re-establish a military presence on Gotland Island in the Baltic Sea, which has been billed as a potential gateway for Russian aggression. On Wednesday, the Swedish Prime Minister and his defense minister visited the island to inspect troops that have been deployed there since September. And the Premier took the opportunity to test drive a tank for himself, but people were quick to mock the politician on social media. Political commentator Daniel Freiberg says that the idea of Russia posing a threat to Sweden cannot be taken seriously.
To kind of paint Russia as a big threat to Sweden is frankly ridiculous. The neoconservatives in the US and the globalists within the EU to push this kind of agenda that Russia is some sort of big threat and a big enemy because Russia is kind of anti-globalist. It doesn't really fit in the globalist agenda, so therefore it's important to maintain hostilities and make up these ridiculous stories about the Russian submarines. The main reason is to kind of paint this kind of evil enemy to kind of scare people into focusing on that instead of the real issues we actually have in Sweden.
Up next, the Kaiser Report looks at whether we've reached the end of the era of easy money. Political commentator Daniel Freiberg says that the idea of Russia posing a threat to Sweden cannot be taken seriously.
To kind of paint Russia as a big threat to Sweden is frankly ridiculous. The neoconservatives in the US and the globalists within the EU to push this kind of agenda that Russia is some sort of big threat and big enemy because Russia is kind of anti-globalist. It doesn't really fit in the globalist agenda, so therefore it's important to maintain hostilities and make up these ridiculous stories about the Russian submarines. The main reason is to kind of paint this kind of evil enemy to kind of scare people into focusing on that instead of the real issues we actually have in Sweden.
Up next, the Kaiser Report looks at whether we've reached the end of the era of easy money.